Welcome to another episode of The Happy Runner, a podcast for all who love running and those who want to start running. My name is Roman, and today let's talk about running on summer vacations. But before we dive into the topic, make sure you subscribe to the Happy Runner podcast and recommend it to other runners you know. Many of us are training for a marathon in September or October, maybe even for a half marathon or a 10K race. I was planned to run the Berlin Marathon this year, but due to an injury, I need to postpone my plans for a year. Regardless of my situation, now is the crucial time for training. But will you run through the summer, or maybe take a break from your running for the summer vacation? Well, it's not an easy answer. Both ways can be done. It depends a lot on how competitive you are. But if you're running one of the fall marathons, you are probably already in full training mode, because most of the training plans for those marathons start around mid to late May or at the latest early June. Let's assume you are running through your summer vacation. In this case, it's good to know where you are going and to plan your running routes in advance. It can be helpful to Google for existing running routes, but the better way is to ask the local tourist board where the best routes to run are. It also helps a bit to set up a time schedule. Since summer is normally warm and it can get quite hot and humid during the day, the best time to run is early morning or late in the evening. Just make sure that the ones you travel with are okay with your running plans. Include them into planning so they will be part of your training. Some of you may also have children, as I do, that want to spend as much time as possible on the beach. In this case, the best way is to plan your runs really early, maybe even before they wake up. You will still have time to rest while lying on the beach or swimming in the sea. On the other hand, you can also leave your running shoes at home. But why should you do that if your peak race of the year is just around the corner and you need to follow a training plan? Well, I did it the last few years, and I'm planning on doing so the same this year. You need to know that you start to lose fitness after about 2 weeks without running. And your aerobic base should be built way before your summer vacation. After a few days without running, I could feel in the past that I had much more energy Some minor niggles also disappeared, and after 10 to 12 days, my muscular system was rested and ready to go the last training stretch before the race. So, how to tweak your training plan if not running during your summer vacation? Well, that's a good question. I will talk about what I did. It may work for you, but you need to find out for yourself what the best way is. About 3 weeks out, my weekly long run reached 30 kilometers. From there, I went to 32 kilometers for the 2 weeks before my vacation. And yes, I was following a marathon training plan. The last 4 weeks before my vacation, I started to do 1 interval and 1 tempo session each week to add some speed to my training. Somehow, I managed to do a short training plan before my vacation and then used the time on the beach to recover from that training cycle and prepare myself for the next one. After I got back, my first long run was between, I think, 20-24 kilometers, depending on how I felt, and I gradually went up again to the 30k range. I also skipped tempo and interval sessions the first 2 weeks back. Instead, I concentrated on getting to a higher volume of running again. This way, my body was prepared to run even those harder interval and tempo sessions a few weeks after. Wouldn't it be for my injury, I would probably run this year on my vacation. Since I'm going to a small island, there are not many roads to run on. And doing a long run on a 2k road stretch can be mentally quite difficult. So, what I planned was to run 3 days, then take a day rest. Each of my running days would be from 5 to 15 kilometers, depending on the intensity of the runs. There is also a small hill that's about 500 meters long and has just the perfect gradient. So, what I also planned was some fast hill running with some recovery runs in between. But since I'm injured, I will probably only take my flip-flops this year to the island. I know more in a couple of days. My island time starts, well, actually tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed listening to the episode. If so, I would appreciate you subscribe to the Happy Runner podcast and recommend it to other runners you know. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and on our webpage. Happy running!